To get over the top financially, you must read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It is common sense and market savvy for your financial future, said Zig Ziglar. If you want all insider wisdom on how to personally get and stay rich, read this book. Bribe your kids financially if you have to do the same, said Mark Victor Hansen. Rich Dad Poor Dad is not your usual book on money. Rich Dad Poor Dad is easy to read, and its key messages, such as getting rich, takes focus, and nerve, are very simple, said Honolulu Magazine. I only wish I had read this book when I was young, or even better yet, my parents had read this book. This is the kind of book you buy and give each of your kids and buy extra copies on the chance you have grandchildren, and this should be your gift as soon as this child reaches 8 or 9, said Sue Brown. Rich Dad Poor Dad is not about getting rich quickly. It is about taking responsibility for your financial affairs and improving wealth by mastering money. Read it if you want to awaken your financial genius, said Dr. Ed Corkin. I wish I would have read this book 20 years ago, said Larison Clark. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a starting point for anyone looking to gain control of their financial future, said USA Today. I wish I read this book 20 years ago, says Olaide Agbaje. You cannot find that on the pages of this book though. Hi everybody, you are most welcome to tonight's review. What you just heard were testimonials from people who have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm sure some of them are passed to the world beyond today, but their messages resonate so greatly. So welcome as we embark on a flight into the world of this powerful book on financial freedom, financial intelligence, getting rich, and so much more. So tonight we're looking at the introduction to Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, written alongside Sharon L. Lecher. And I particularly like the opening question to this book, which reads, does school prepare children for the real world? This is a question we should be asking in this 21st century. People will say to you, or even your parents, study hard and get good grades, and you will find a high-paying job with great benefits. That is what most parents would say to their children. And they say this out of cultural habits, because that is what most parents know to say. But I tell you that the world is changing. And I am glad as far back as over 20 years ago, Robert Kiyosaki said the same thing, right? So this introduction is written by the co-author, Sharon L. Lecher, and she told the story of how this book came about, her worries about our own children, our own self, our husband, their family, and the path that the children were already throwing based on this cultural belief that until you go to school, you get good grades, you find a high-paying job, you cannot be successful. So this book challenges that. So according to Sharon, she said this was the advice of her parents, and as soon as she graduated from college, near the top of her class, her parents were so happy. Yes, they had already fulfilled their desire. Her husband too, even had 2 degrees. So they both got jobs. But were they very satisfied? Not really. Even though they were so successful in their careers, but then there was no promise or guarantee of any pension plan if they did not contribute towards it. So Sharon said one day in 1996, Her son came to her and asked this question: why should I put time into studying subjects I will never use in real life? How would you feel if your child asks you this kind of question? And without thinking, based on what was already programmed in her head, she said, because if you don't get good grades, you won't get into college. And the son replied to say, even if I don't go to college, I am still going to be rich. So the son was trying to challenge the stereotype of becoming rich only after you have gotten to school. And she replied to say, if you don't graduate from college, you won't get a good job. Even though she didn't have any concrete evidence to that. So this got her thinking that truly does school prepare children enough for the real world? Because the son went ahead to say that the mom should look around. So many of the rich people around did not have university degrees. And the son cited as an example of Bill Gates, who dropped out of Harvard. And today he is one of the richest men in the world. At the time of writing this book, Bill Gates was the richest man rather, in the world. But right now, he's still one of the richest in the world. He also gave an example of Michael Jordan. He gave an example of a baseball pitcher who was earning as of that time over $4 million a year, even though the guy was considered to be mentally challenged. So the world around us has changed, but the advice that we give to our children has not changed. This advice of telling them to go to school, to get good grades before they become successful, that advice has to change, even though the essence of this is not to minimize or to discredit the importance of education, but there has to be a better way of teaching our children how to be financially stable. Yes, we're going to learn all of this as we proceed. So getting a good education and making good grades no longer ensures success. Otherwise, so many first-class graduates will be the richest in the world today. I know some first-class graduates who are just barely surviving. That is because going to school alone is not going to make you rich. You have to be financially intelligent. You have to be smart. You have to put your financial intelligence to use if you want to be rich. But nobody seems to have noticed this except our children. So Sharon began to continue to say, no, sorry, the son continued to say that I don't want to work as hard as you and dad do. You make a lot of money and we live in a huge house with lots of toys. If I follow your advice, I'm going to wind up like you, working harder and harder only to pay more taxes and wind up in debt. There is no job security anymore. Companies are downsizing. Is that what we all want to live for? But the son was right. The parents' advice so many years ago can no longer hold water today. You cannot keep saying to your children, go to school, get good grades, and you'll be rich. Otherwise, they're going to question you. They're going to ask you yourself, Daddy, why are you not so rich? You're a master's degree holder. You're a PhD holder. You're a professor. If going to school and getting good grades could make one rich, I think all the professors in the world today should be the richest. But with all due humility, I can say that I know some professors who are very, very poor. They're not doing so well. Even though they do research, write papers, they can speak big grammar and all of that. Not only professors, so many people who are educated within the school, within the four walls of the classroom. Right. So she knew that she had the responsibility to teach her children. Unfortunately, we live in a world today where parents are going to give credit cards to their children when these children don't have financial intelligence, when they have never worked from even 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. They don't know what it means. They don't understand how investment works, how compound interest work. And then we give these children credit cards what happens? They mismanage the money, they spend it anyhow without any plan of replenishing the money. There is no financial literacy, and without financial literacy and the knowledge of how money works, our children and even we ourselves are not prepared to face the world that awaits us, a world in which spending is emphasized over savings. If we are to show our account statements here right now, I'm sure many of us are going to have, you know, statements, transactions written in red, 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 red. Maybe we'll scroll for a long time before we'll come across green, and then we'll scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. All that we see, our accounts statements are so reddish instead of greenish. Is that not the truth? It means that something is missing. So Sharon, talking of Sharon, she wrote the introduction to this book. She's a co-author. And she said that she became worried and she was looking for a way to teach her children financial intelligence, to teach them financial literacy. And just then, her husband came home to say, oh, he came across Robert Kiyosaki, who was trying to apply for a patent for his new product, which was cash flow at the time. And this woman said, oh, that was the perfect thing that she was looking for. So she got to meet Robert Kiyosaki, who invited her over alongside some other people to come and test the game, cash flow, an educational game that would teach about money, investment, and all of that. So she went with her 19-year-old daughter. And when they got there, the game looks like a monopoly, but a very colorful monopoly that had two tracks, one inside track and one outer track. And the object of the game was to get out of the inside track. And the inside track represents the rat race. So you have to play that game, get out of the inside track into the outer track or the fast track. As Robert Kiyosaki puts it, the fast track simulates how rich people play in real life. So this is the definition of the rat race. I'm going to summarize it just as Robert Kiyosaki explains it here, but I'll summarize it to us so that I don't read it word for word. So he said, if you look at the life of the average educated, hardworking person, you will see a similar pattern in the life of all of those people, or most of those people. And this is what happens. When a child is born, the parents are very proud of that child. They are excited because, of course, they have a new bundle of joy. And then the child begins to grow. The child goes to school. The child starts doing well, probably start getting award, oh, best in mathematics, best in English, and things like that. The parents are very happy. The child leaves primary school, go to secondary school, from secondary school to university, doing well. The parents are happy. What is going on in the mind of the parents? Oh, as soon as this child graduates from the university, he or she is going to get a very good job and then starts earning cool money. So truly, the child gets out of the university, finds a good job, probably becomes a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, a teacher, and so on. Or maybe joins the army or the police force and starts working. Works for the government, works for a private company, as the case may be. So the child starts having credit cards if he or she lives in an advanced world, or by now he or she already has a bank account and things like that. And all the credit cards and loans and different things, different banks will be coming, oh, we can give you loan, different banks will be trying to say, okay, you can actually do this plan, this investment plan, you can save for your children, things like that. And then the shopping begins, if it hasn't begun already. So this child now has money to burn, and then starts going to different places, meeting other young people, they start hanging out, and a time comes when this child, let's assume a guy now, finds the love of his life, and then woos her, and then the babe saying that, oh, okay, this guy has some money, agreed, and then they start dating. From dating, they eventually get married. Oh, congratulations. Happy married life. Your home is blessed, and things like that. Life is so beautiful. Two have now become one. They can chase 10,000 and all of that and all of that, right? So it happens that this guy is working, the wife is also working, which is fantastic. They now have two sources of income. By the time they merge their salaries together, oh, they have a lot of money to spend, right? They feel very successful. The future is bright. They can now afford to probably rent a good apartment, or they buy one, or they start building one. Before they know it, the wife becomes pregnant. And then a baby is born into the world. Now they have an extra mouth to feed. Baby is going to wear diapers. Baby is going to drink milk and things like that. So their salary, there's now a strain on the salary, kind of. It is no more for the two of them, right? And they want to buy all kinds of things for the baby. They go shopping for the baby, probably go and have the baby in one of the best hospitals in the city. Now they are thinking, we have an extra mouth to feed. Let us get a promotion at work, or let us go and let us register for an extra and for another course, or take that professional exams, so that we can be promoted at work and all of that. So they do that, they are promoted at work, they earn more money, they probably take up a second job, or a higher paying job. But the more the salary, the higher the tax that they pay. So as their income is going up, their tax is also going up. They now start buying more groceries. They start, so sooner they realize that, oh, this house is no longer comfortable for all of us, because we're expecting another baby, a second baby. We need a bigger house. And so they have a second baby. They move to a bigger house, which costs more money. By the time these children are 5 or 6, they are now in primary school. They need to start planning for their university education. So the happy couple, born 35 years ago, is now trapped in the rat race for the rest of their working days. They work for the owners of their company, always running around on how to get extra certification, how to be promoted at work, how to earn more money, how to look for a higher paying job, and things like that. And the more their salaries increase, the higher the tax. The more children they have, the higher their expenses. So this is the rat race. Before they know it, they find themselves taking loans, borrowing, because as they even grow older, things are becoming more expensive. This is the rat race. And is this the kind of race we all advise our children to run, by telling them, go to school, get good grades, sorry, is the mic screeching or something? What exactly is wrong with the mic? Let me know. Okay, let me. Kind of race that we advise our children to run. Let me know exactly what is wrong with the mic. Thank you. All right. Advising them that once they go to school and they get good grades, that is it. They are going to be rich. The only way to get out of the rat race. Okay, thank you. Is to be good. In fact, not just good, to be proficient at accounting and investing. You have to know how to check what is coming into your account, what is going out, how money is leaving. You need to know how to invest, and so on. I need to be faster now, right? So while they were playing this game, don't forget I just explained the rat race. So all of the people that gathered to come and test the cash flow game that Robert Kiyosaki had just made, Some of them were bankers, some of them were real estate brokers, business owners, and so on. But apart from Sharon, the co-author, none of them knew how to get out of the rat race. And they felt so frustrated, they felt so bad that despite all their years at the university, despite the fact that they were accountants, they were business owners, they did not know how to get out of the rat race. I'm sure they felt very embarrassed, right? Because they know a lot. So many of us know something by the books. Okay, this is how a balance sheet should look like. You know, we know about assets and liabilities. We know all the textbook definitions, but we don't know how to apply them. So these people know a lot, the bankers, the accountants, and for the most part, they are smart people. But there are so many smart people who are not rich because our schools do not teach people what the rich know. We take advice from these people. We take advice from teachers who don't know how to be rich. I wrote here that even teachers don't know how to be rich. All due apologies to teachers. I'm also a teacher, by the way, you know, because all that is done is reproduction and recycling of knowledge, of theories. You can go to a university today and lecturers are still using their lesson notes from 10 years ago. Is it that the world is not improving? Is it that the times are not changing? The times are changing rapidly. So why is the educational system not changing? If teachers knew how to be rich, I'm sure teachers should be the richest. But how can somebody teach what he doesn't know? So the school cannot teach anybody how to be rich. Go and ask the rich people that we have in our world today. They did not become rich through their degrees. Being rich requires a different kind of education entirely. That is one of the faults in the educational system. And the author of this book lived in America, an American. So it applies across the world. So don't say, oh, the Nigerian educational system is faulty, or the South African educational system is faulty, or in Africa, you know, and things like that. It seems to be a general thing. You will find accountants, bankers, business owners in the same traffic as you are, stuck in the same rat race. Did we all not go to school? We did. All right. So the daughter who went with Sharon to play this game said something that her mother really liked. She said, now, I learned a lot about how money really works and how to invest. Now I know I can choose a profession for the work I want to perform and not because of job security, benefits, or how much I get paid. She said, if I learn what this game teaches, I'm free to do and study what my heart wants to study, rather than study something because businesses are looking for certain job skills. If I learn this, I won't have to worry about job security, social security, the way most of my classmates already do. People fret today. Oh, I want to study this course. I want to do this so that when I graduate, I can get a job in this company. But are they following their passion? Are they following their interest? What happens when that company start downsizing tomorrow and they say, sorry, your job is over. We can no longer afford to retain you. And then you discover that you don't even have a personal interest on your own for choosing that course, for choosing that occupation. You only chose it because of job security. Unfortunately, job security does not exist anymore. The world has changed, but education has not changed with it. Today, the most dangerous advice you can give a child is go to school, get good grades, and look for a safe, secure job. This is old advice, and it is bad advice. If you could see what is happening in Asia, Europe, South Africa, Africa, and the rest of the world, you would be as concerned as Robert Kiyosaki. It is bad advice, he believes, because if you want your child to have a financially secure future, if you yourself want to have a financially secure future, I want to believe that nobody, okay, let me not say that. There may be people of all ages watching, right? Not only the people watching at this time. So no matter your age, if you want a financially secure future, because it is possible for somebody to become rich at 70, If the person has 10 more years to live or 30 more years, it means they still have a future ahead of them. So everybody has a future, irrespective of their ages. So if you want to have a future where you're going to be financially free, you cannot play by the same old set of rules. It is too risky. You cannot rely on your job. These rules of money that the rich play by, they are rules that other 95% of the population do not know. That is why we have very few rich people in our world today. When we say rich, we don't mean middle class. We don't mean middle class, right? Those who can afford, as in, I don't even know how to put a proper term to it. But let me just say stupendously rich, as in you can afford anything, except money cannot buy that thing. That's the kind of riches we're talking about. Anything money can buy, you can afford it. That's the kind of riches. Okay. So many 95%, according to this book, don't know the rules that the rich play by. It is hard to become rich. And that's why few people become rich. Big things are hard to do. That's why only few people do them. A lot of people just want security. They're trying to play it safe and not play it smart. And that is what the educational system is teaching us and also teaching our children. How can the school teach what it doesn't know? How can a teacher teach what he doesn't know? How can you as a parent teach what you don't know? If you are not financially intelligent, how do you pass that on to your children? If you don't know about money, if you don't know about investment, how do you pass it on to your children? At this point, I have to say that this is one of the best books that you can give to your children. And it is for a fact. You read it with them, review the book together, let them start having an understanding of how money works. Don't assume that they are too young because they're not going to read it once. So you may want to lay a foundation now that they are 6, 7, 8, and then as they grow older, you keep reading it over and over with them. So all of this made Robert Kiyosaki to write this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Fortunately for him, he had two fathers, his rich dad and his poor dad. His rich dad encouraged him to work for a corporation, a company, or an organization. His poor dad. Did I say poor dad? His poor dad encouraged him to work for a company. His rich dad encouraged him to own the company. So his rich dad and his poor dad were thinking in opposite directions, but his heart yearned for the advice, to follow the advice of his rich dad, because he knew from a very young age that he wanted to be rich. And he started doing the things that would make him rich, as we are going to discover in subsequent chapters, going forward over the next few days. We are going to discover. So his poor dad would tell him, go to school, get good grades, don't be a tramp, so that when you come out, you can get a good job. Play safe, because his rich dad himself was playing it safe. But his poor dad believed, no, that is not how to be rich in life. So the ideas in this book are probably too far-fetched and radical for most parents today. They cannot understand it, because just like his poor dad, that is all that they are used to. Yes, his poor dad is the real dad. That's right. His rich dad was the dad to his friend, Mike. Right? So he was also like a father figure to him, who provided guidance for him. His rich dad did not believe in going to school, even though they both knew that it is good to go to school. So don't get this wrong. This is not to say don't go to school, but this is to say you need to start thinking differently, because merely going to school and acquiring that degree is not going to make you rich. You have to start thinking differently. So Robert's hope for writing this book is to inform people that anyone can achieve prosperity if they so choose. If today you are a gardener or a janitor or a driver or a housemaid, whatsoever, or maybe you are even unemployed, you have the ability to educate yourself and teach those you love to take care of themselves financially. Remember that financial intelligence is the mental process through which we solve our financial problems. So if you are not financially intelligent, you cannot solve your financial problems. I hope that you are ready for the journey ahead. I want you to have an open mind. You need to be open to new ideas and you need to be bold, because in this book, there will be a lot of exposition that will guide you or push you into dumping your old ideas about money, about becoming rich, and to embrace the new. Because you don't want to work all your life and then at retirement, you have little or nothing to fall back on. That is the sad reality of a lot of people. They work so hard, and then once they retire, they discover that they have not really worked. They have worked, rather, they have worked quite all right, but they have nothing, little or nothing to fall back on. And then they start managing. I've seen people who, after retirement, are now begging to eat. If their children don't send them money, they cannot eat. I'm sure you don't want that kind of a life, because we all grow every day, we learn every day. So it is a privilege for you to be reviewing this book with me. So I want you to have an open mind. Tomorrow we're going to come together and we're going to, read chapter 1, which is titled Rich Dad, Poor Dad, as narrated by Robert Kiyosaki himself. He's going to tell us how, from a very young age, I think from the age of 9, he and his friend Mike wanted to become very rich, and how that really pushed them to actually becoming very rich. Thank you so much for joining me on this review. If you don't have this book, please get a copy. It is very, very important. Get a copy, read it before you join the review every night. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like this video, share all of your comments in the comment section, and please subscribe to this channel if you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. Tomorrow, we're going to meet again as we review chapter 1 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lecher. Thank you so much. Take care and be intentional. Bye. Bye, everyone.